we will call the March board meeting of the Board of Education meeting ordered. At 7:02, we can get the same time. Welcome to the B team. We'll figure it out. Okay. First off, we're going to take that. Jason.
Here.
That's a question. Here. Jason Crowder. Brian Walker.
Here.
Steve Stiles.
Here.
Jenny Wilmot. Here. Okay, and then I will make a motion to excuse Chase Crowder from this meeting. You said you need to vote on that. Yes, sir.
Yes.
That's a question. Yes. Brian Walker?
Yes.
Steve Stiles?
Yes.
Jenny Wilmot. Okay, we need the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item, I need a motion to approve the regular meeting agenda as presented. Thank you, Lacey, and I have a second. Thank you, Brian. Okay. Trustee Wilson? Yes. Brian Walker?
Yes.
Steve Stiles?
Yes.
Jerry Wilmot? Yes. Jason?
Yep.
Okay. Agenda item number 2 is welcome to guests in the forum. Is there anybody here that would like to speak? Okay, then I will read this really long.
I already read it if we need to think.
Oh, okay. Well, I will note and let you know that there is the Open Meeting Act is on the wall. If you would like to speak, please make sure that you sign in. You do have a 5-minute or less time limit. And sign in on that note right there. And then whoever would like to start.
I've never done this.
You can sit there, you can stand, whatever. Just
Okay, so
please state your name.
Tamara Loberg. I do teach in here on I got 2 things. Tamara will take notes. So the first thing I wanted to talk to the board about would be to consider maybe some sort of a policy or something, just some food for thought about when we have to cancel school, maybe setting like a guideline time. I know that the last couple times been really close to when staff is supposed to be on the road to get here, or even the last time it was the building, it was a late start and then school ended up being canceled. There were already children in the building for aftercare or before school care through the YMCA. So I feel like maybe if it's not safe to be here, then we should try to make the decision as soon as we can, so that way the building isn't open for kids to be here. It also happened before when the power was out. It was a late start and it was canceled. There were already students in the building. So maybe just some food for thought on how we can maybe make a plan, so that way the other districts that I've been part of or friends in other districts, they kind of have like the unspoken rule is if you don't think by 5:45, then you're just your company. So that way it gives parents a chance to take a plan for their kiddos. Because it's hard as a parent myself when, oh, it's a late start, and okay, so we plan for a late start. So I call my boss, like my husband calls, says, hey, it's late start in, and I'll be in at 10, and then it's, oh, school's out. Okay, all right, now I have to call again. School's out, this kind of thing. So just be something for that. Maybe we call it before the building's open, just perfect. You know, I will always be an advocate that like if we can be here, we should be here. I am 100% school is a safe place for kids, and they should be here. So that's my school closure food. And then my other food for thought for you is proposing, not this year obviously because this is the budget, But looking ahead to maybe hiring a district full-time sub for K-12. There has been many times this quarter even, not just this school year, that we get an email right away as staff members saying, hey, we need coverage, who can cover? And it is very nice and very much appreciated. It does pay us for the time that we do sub in classrooms, but when we're taking that time to sub in classrooms, we are also missing out on our planning time. So then we're having to come after contract hours or stay late to make up that time to get our plans ready. So I know there is a person who subs a lot in our district. She is a really good sub, and we can really count on her to do that. And she has talked about how she wants to just be in Arlington and how K-12, she's not scared to do it. You know, that's a big age range where some people don't feel comfortable and some do. And I think it would just be really good for the district, because there's sometimes even in this quarter where there hasn't been coverage for a class. So I took in like a whole class with my class for the morning. And then there was a time where I couldn't be here and my class had to be split because there just wasn't coverage. So that's it. So just some food for thought. And, I hate to, I just don't like it when kids miss out on that really good intellectual time. Because when you have to split a class, you're like, oh, and I have extra kids. What are we gonna do? And so it just, I feel like maybe that is a need that we have as a district. Sometimes it is hard for us to get subs here. You know, especially in the winter months, some of our other subs they just don't want to sub in the winter, and that's okay. Like we've had some different subs down on the K side, like the K6 side, that have kind of become more frequent. But there are lots of times it is difficult for us to find someone.
Okay. I don't know how to swear.
That's like I don't know who to talk to.
Yeah.
There might be an item on the agenda in regards to our GPA scale, our rating scale here, and the fact that it's got more weight to it for honors classes and things. And I just wanted to talk about this as kids who have taken honors classes and not gotten credit on their GPA for that. And I just want to say that the disadvantages of a non-weighted GPA system is that it doesn't account for the rigor of advanced courses, and it undervalues students who challenge themselves in more demanding subject areas. This became particularly of a concern of ours when Tyler was looking at going to the school that he chose for college, is at Dakota Wesleyan, and they had their scholarships assigned by a scale, but they did not determine whether it was a weighted scale or a non-weighted scale. And so they started their top scholarship at 4, which here we can't go above a 4, but for that it was a 4 or above. And those kids were given $16,000 per year scholarship. I went back and forth with DWU on this, trying to explain to them our scale is only at 4 scale and doesn't have any weight for honors classes. And I went back and forth. I think Mrs. Hoff even sent them a letter explaining our scale. And what she wrote back, and this is the admission counselor to read it. She said, thank you for sharing all that information. I didn't realize some scales do not use a weighted GPA. Unfortunately, our policy at DWU is to use the GPA as on Tyler's official transcript, which would have been a 3.96. If your school did do weighted GPAs, then we would accept that new GPA and has to be on the official transcript. Our next scholarship level increases at 4.0. So Tyler could potentially be getting more scholarship money if your school did a weighted GPA. We cannot change that on our end, but sounds like something your school board would have to decide. I would encourage you to take this information to them and show them that students are losing scholarship money because of their rules. This needs to be a change at the school level. If they change the rule before Tyler graduates, then please let us know. Well, that wasn't possible to get his GPA, an official weighted GPA. He took at least 3 full-year honors classes and a bunch of other classes. So his GPA at 3.96 was phenomenal, and he probably should have gotten a higher scholarship. Instead, he got the 14,750 for the loss of $12.50 per year or $5,000 over 4 years. And this is just because DWU did not know we even had such a thing here, even though we explained it over and over and over again. So I think that this is just one example, and that's why I just came to present that. But there may be very many small schools that don't know that different. And I looked at some big universities, and they do identify a weighted or a non-weighted GPA scale. This was just one example of him and off the top. $5,000 in scholarship money in college as we go probably to GPA. So I just wanted the board to weigh that out and determine whether they think that's an issue for our students losing money in scholarships going to colleges. That's all that. Thank you.
Thank you. We're gonna move, if there's no one else that would like to speak, we're going to move on to agenda item 3. The consent agenda. Item 3.1 is the minutes of the previous board meeting. You have to do
Minutes, and I will just do the financials. Yeah, so if you would like to read there, transfer there, you can transfer I was actually January is too. So with the when at the first or the 31st on the following business days, so we can get into so we can have almost $80,000 of expenses in that one for that we just did transfer price. Let's go with that. I just got bills. There were missing a couple. One from that you'll probably see from American Broadband. Everything from that. And then asked Mr. Shea a question about basketball because it came up and I didn't get to talk with Lawrence today, but we paid for basketball hoops last month too. So let me explain that.
It's sports facility maintenance, install rims for gym and rim repairs at basically $1,500 over. Yeah. We had that on the on last month as well. So was there like what was the
like the brakes come out with temporary fix on, and then we ordered the ones that we wanted. They come back out twice.
so last month's bill was for the temporary fix?
No, it was for the first month before was it's up and running. And then the last one we had last couple of months.
So one was for a temporary
Yeah.
that they
That was the
took
one
back
we
or that we kept.
We kept.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we paid. So we have 2.
Yeah.
Now, so we have like a backup.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay. And then
Okay.
okay. So then that second, this most recent one was for them to come back out to install the correct ones that we purchased.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Ryan, did you have anything that you noticed on your treasury position?
I did want to point out one thing on the balance sheet at the end of our percentage sheets, because it came kind of to my attention, that no one brought it there, but it's noticed. And then I thought others might notice the sped, split revenue there. So it said that at this point in time, we received 80% and this year we're going to receive 40%. Well, last year was the first year we were supposed to get the 80% back. And I had done my budget, not quite budgeting for them to actually send us 80%.
We didn't think
Because I wasn't 100% certain that that was
Mhm.
going to actually happen, because unfortunately, sometimes they give and then they take away. So you're never quite sure if that's actually going to happen or not. So I had under budgeted, so it looked like we had already received 80% of what I had budgeted, but we actually got 80%. So this 40% is accurate, and that's probably where we would have been about last year if I had budgeted for 900,000. That we actually received instead of the 500,000-600,000. We never want to put yourself in a position where you don't have money to do this. So anyway, but everything else is about tracking where we were at this time last year. We've kind of got a better, transportation there. You can see that secondary is at 43%. High school maintenance transportation 37%. So we're, and then the elementary transportation last year was the run of the lap that we got was adjusted right now. It's kind of running the money was always there. It was just in a different place. Where it's budgeted in different places. We've got the budget.
Another thing that I wanted to bring up is that we had talked about, Chase and I talked about with Dr. Lewis. We've been talking about it a lot with our switching over OPPD, the baseball fields are now on the school's electricity bill. Roughly, it's about $180.
This month.
This month was roughly about how much it was. Lawrence is looking into some things on how we can those.
Next month, they have some.
So there's stuff that's, we're still watching that, looking into it, so that might be, so if you're noticing that electricity bill is increasing, first off, we're gonna be using that a lot more. Yeah. In the next couple months. But that would be part of it, so we'll keep watching that.
This month, that would not have been noticeable. In the
Mhm.
summer, it's probably gonna be quite a bit higher than that, so it would be more noticeable, and we have evening games or on the lights. Just because of the on-demand charge that we have here will be a little bit higher, so we'll separate that. Once someone consulting and do that, will probably be after baseball season. So, and he wants to make sure it doesn't disrupt anything, because even though they're on separate, it's still, I think the power still pulls like from the same source for the fairground, so we don't want to disrupt any of the power for what they need by taking on this project. So we're just proceeding with project.
I was trying to think of what other things we talked about.
And the rest of our bills were relatively normal.
The visa bill was much less this month, which was great.
Yeah.
Seems.
The only thing I saw, Don, what's the deal with the lights and LED lights? Why don't we just put that all together?
What are you talking about?
I think we purchased some
I purchased
LED light. So
They're just from different places.
yeah, and we're changing fluorescents. I mean, gradually as they burn out, we purchase more LED lights, and I think we most have. But sometimes you just what Lawrence has been doing is when the fluorescents go bad or go out, he's changing the ballasts in the light fixtures that we have so they can take on the LEDs, and then we do that upgrade kind of one at a time as they go along one at a time. But we're pretty close to having, I think, everybody on LEDs. But yeah, it's just a different resource, a different person to buy the lights from.
And that one item on there for the disc writer, you can supply, that's what we voted on last. So that came through that 14,000. Yeah. Again, you'll also see resignations, hires, reassignments, all the things in there, which is
Yeah.
great.
We're doing good. We have one position yet to fill, but this is unfortunate. You just never know this day and age, what's gonna happen, and we've just been blessed to get good applicants in and good people who want to come to work. So it's really a testament to they're coming on referrals a lot. They're coming on from our current teachers and place and so forth like that. This is a great place to work. So that's how we're recruiting, and that's wonderful.
Have we had multiple applicants for every position?
We have had multiple applicants for elementary positions.
Have we done multiple applicants?
We've had multiple applicants.
Okay.
They're not bio.
Right.
We have multiple buildings right now.
Right.
I would say there's probably two positions where we got one or fewer applicants, and we've had more than one for everybody else. But elementary was a nice pool this time again of real life American applicants.
Well, that's a nice barometer. See that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it's good.
Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
And I'm a second. Can I do it?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's go.
Ryan Lochte.
Yes.
Bruce Lucas.
Yes.
Sharon Wilmer. Yes. Jason Art.
Yes.
Jessica.
Yes. Okay, agenda item 4, our curriculum and instruction report. Who wants to go first? We have 6th grade and we have art. You gonna fight over it? You don't fight, you guys are all such.
I think you definitely would have.
6th grade. Glenn.
6th grade on the agenda.
Alright, 6th grade it is.
Challenge accepted.
We have so many new faces. I know most of you are fairly, I've been here for a little while, but please introduce yourself so that new board members, old board members, everyone can know who everybody is. We appreciate it.
I'm Erin Reed. I have a little drool on me, but the good news is it's not mine. I don't know if you can see it, but I fell asleep, so I apologize.
That's awesome.
I'm Lisa Stork.
And then I'm Landon Walkers.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna do social studies. I do teach reading as well, language arts. We have not had any curriculum changes for reading or social studies since we last saw you. We still do American history in 5th grade, so then 6th grade is ancient world history, and we cover 7 different ancient civilizations. The kids are getting more into it, probably because I'm a little bit more into it after a couple of years of getting into it. It's heavy stuff, a lot of politics, a lot of government and religion, but we try to do a lot of projects that make it fun for them, one every topic. We still do the Living History Museum at the end, 3 live for them. They look forward to that. That happens after 6th grade graduation, so instead of having to go back to class or find something to do with them, we just flow right into that, and it fills the day well, kind of a celebration.
No, I think it feels a lot better teaching it a couple of times. I can say that personally, just because it's a little daunting, ancient world history.
It's not something you know a lot about coming into it, unless you've taken like recent classes on it, which we have not. So we're learning as we go.
But I think we do a great job. You and Smith for me set up some really good projects at the end of the topics that really just bring like the main bulk of it to attention, and the kids love to read. So, yeah. I'll talk about reading then. So I have had the privilege of teaching 4th grade for a long time. I taught 5th grade last year, as well as 6th grade, and then 6th grade again this year. And our reading curriculum is a big step up. It's a different curriculum. It's more of a school feel as far as like how all the units are built. The reading class that I teach, I actually have a little half of my students that are on AP. And so instead of following the traditional, when we have 5 days a week at school, starting the story on Monday and ending it on Friday, I typically go about a week and a half because of the students that I have. And so I love that ability that teaching at a small school gives me that power to say, we're going to do a lot of this together because they need a lot more guided practice rather than independent practice. So in my class, we are usually a little bit behind Mrs. Reed's, but we're doing great things for those kids, doing things at their level, but still teaching at the 6th grade level, so administering those 6th grade standards with the same curriculum, just a little bit slow.
And this curriculum is really good at giving you different options for different speeds of learners. So you can speed it up a little, do something more challenging, or have something.
It does a great job of covering our standards. We have very rigorous standards, I think, in 6th grade, and just a big step in 5th grade. Tests are hard. There's a lot of like the extension questions we go through, and I'm like, I'm going to read it, and then we're going to highlight the main parts. There's 3 questions in that one, and just modeling for them. I think it's just a good introduction into what they're going to see next year.
And gone are the days when they can memorize. They have to recognize and understand the concept deeply, so they can apply it to how the question is phrased. They're not black and white answers. They're open, which is good for them because I think that prepares them for the state tests as well.
Okay. I'll talk about math and science. So last time we met, math-wise, we got the new curriculum. It's in visions. And once again, that falls along with Savvis, beyond activity. Awesome. 6th grade, I mean, I teach all 6th grade and they've been absolutely crushing it. So it's just been a lot more real life examples, which helps them a lot. And it's a lot step by step, which is very crucial for that age. So that's been helpful. We also go through IXL as well, and that's just another mind tool. Science-wise, we haven't had a new curriculum change, but once again, just a lot of labs, hand-on focus. Yeah, I mean, that's about it for me. So, sweet.
We had to get very creative this year. I would like to propose going 3 sections for all ages. Is that possible? We're almost there. But we do a lot of bouncing. And so Dr. Morgan, we praise you for getting creative. It's different every year and it promotes some challenges, but she is a rock star. And it's really just
One last small class.
yes.
Yeah.
So
You
you
guys
talked
have been
about
troopers, adjusting and shifting.
Yeah, we can
appreciate
tell.
that.
Yeah, we can tell. You're talking about reading. Do you guys, when is your next adoption for reading? Is that on the horizon? Are you liking where you're at?
I think so. I mean, I think I like that it's hard for them. I like showing them that they can do hard things. The first quarter's rough. It's very rough. I think just having a study guide and having that responsibility of, I don't want to say like 4th grade and 5th grade was easy, but I think just like I said, showing them that they can do tough things, that they can tear apart a multi-question, and really, like Mrs. Reed said, not just being able to rely on things that they have memorized, but being able to apply those skills and understand what the text is saying at just a deeper level.
And the reality for me is I like to get really deep into the stuff I teach and I get a little attached to it. And I find this project or this activity or this video clip, and then you get new curriculum and you're like, so like I'm never in any huge rush because I feel like you just almost perfect your craft and then you start with a new one. So I'm just starting to really feel solid about this one. So the answer is we're in no hurry, but I know it comes along because we are in our technology unit and the kids notice. They will look and they will go, this is from, I'm like, I haven't even published the book. It's because it's on the technology piece that they're noticing it and they're talking about not Snapchat and TikTok, they're talking about other things that we don't have anymore. So I know it needs to change, but I don't know when that is.
On the cycle, I'm not sure. I think we purchased in 22, 23, and it's a 7-year cycle. So yeah, it'll be 8, 3, 9 is when we're going to research. So that's
Sweet.
3
So
more
we
years
have a while.
before we
And we're good with that. Yep.
Yeah,
Good
we're
question.
where you're at.
Yeah.
That's even
Unless you're not happy.
No, we are.
Nope, we're happy.
Okay.
That's awesome. Good. Does anybody else have any questions for 6th grade? Awesome. Thank you guys very much. Thank
We
you.
had gone over some COVID things in the meeting before last, sorry, I missed the last meeting. Are you seeing them somewhat, caught time down? Because you're, like you said, you're taking a bigger step. I remember when Winston was in 6th, we were getting conceptual, right? We're ideas now.
Right.
We're not, so how are you feeling about
In all
that?
honesty, I think we are in the thick of it right now with the group that maybe the 6th grade group is definitely,
They would have been in 2nd grade.
Yeah.
Here we were.
right when they
We
were.
had multiple quarantines and masking. It would be
Okay.
2nd grade.
I do see one 5th grade group that comes to me for social studies, and I feel a difference. But could be a lot of reasons for that.
I think a lot of it is personality.
Yeah.
With what
The
we're
mix of the
what we're
group.
seeing. Yeah. A lot of things.
Okay, good. I was just curious. After
That's
seeing
an
that
interesting
question. Thank you.
Okay. Last call. You can leave if you like, but you can stay if you want to. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next we have art.
Which report you want?
This one's fine. We can start with this one and then we can do the pictures at the end.
Okay.
I am Erin Shotwell.
Madison Powell.
So
This is how we flow.
Yeah. Chill.
Yep. Big thing on here is probably our focus on creativity and problem solving and pushing them to be risk takers. So, and then problem solving through that risk. It says how many to make it work. So I would say that's really across the board, K through 12. Yeah. And then,
Do you want more of that one?
I don't.
That's all on.
So, yeah. This one's just pictures. So
Yeah.
if you want the pretty
Yeah.
pictures, that's
But if you
fine.
want to talk, if you want.
I think the
text
new
about art
thing we do have the art show that will be coming up April 16th. But then I think something new that we,
It's on your thing, it's a 16.
okay. New this year, and we just kind of sent them, the library reached out, wanting artwork created by our students. They did have some from St. Paul there, but they asked if we would fill it, and so we sent some elementary
artwork there. Reached out, and, she has it up on display. She was able to get that done today. So we are having elementary artwork for March and April.
So that's down at the community library.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This showcases what we have going on in the art room. So try to hit a little of each class. Some dance art, some art too. There's sculpture, pottery, and middle school. Try to hit all the areas that we can focus on. Elementary. And the art club, we are small but mighty. We have 7 artists are so busy that it's very hard to get that going because they have to pick between stuff. And it's hard, and then you still having kids that are active and running to their events, it's hard. But our spring project, we are working on a paint pouring project, and we try to hit some of the messier things that we can't necessarily do with the group of 24. We, with them, but like encourage them a lot. Like if you see things and you want to try, this is where like you bring it up and be like, I've seen this before, it's like this, figure out how that, and then you can problem solve with them and make that happen.
Yeah, we're like, I've never done it, so we're gonna learn it together.
It's interesting if you scroll between the elementary to the back to the high school to see how much progress they make in that time.
Yeah, it's pretty fun to start going through Artsonia and seeing stuff. Yeah, seeing just going through. And kids at middle school and they see all those projects and they go through it and they're like, oh my goodness, I got so much better. It's really fun. You took all those pictures from that?
Yeah, from kindergarten, it's in there.
Does anybody have any questions for the art department?
Oh, it's just amazing the things that come out of the kids that you don't expect. I'm speaking from experience. Because I can't believe Haley did that.
We can't, but
We
Wow.
we know she has it in
from
her.
R1 to R2. And
Yes,
The horse racing bit.
that one.
The rodeo cowboy.
That's what it is.
I know, I just wanted to say.
I know, I just wanted you to say it.
Yeah, and this one right here, that is
Yeah.
so lifelike.
They're really good.
Anyway,
That
well,
colored
good
portrait
job,
is
please.
yeah.
Oh, it's so, yeah.
They're so good.
It's the sister. Yeah.
And I will say, the things that you're teaching them are definitely carrying through. So we've been getting a lot of stuff that when Austin's out at school and is like, I don't know what to do, and I'm like, how about you like pick something? They're amazing. So those things are definitely sticking with us as well. So kudos to you. So, awesome. Does anybody have anything for
I'm
art?
just curious, now that we're in the computer age, it's been 500 years since I did art in school. You still have those kids that say, I can't draw, right? Do they move into the 3-dimensional mediums? Do you move into the clay? Or do you find they eventually, like you said, they mature over time, and by the time they're in middle school, maybe it's
Some sculptural 3-dimensional stuff in elementary, but play really it's in middle school.
Okay.
There are some that you find where like they don't necessarily enjoy the finer details, but then you get them with working more with their hands, and that's where they thrive more. And you can see that because there's some where like with art 1 and art 2, and you're like, I agree, like try these other classes, try sculpture, try pottery. Like, this may be more your jam.
And then on the other side, I've got like the ones that are like so detail oriented and you have both professional.
It scares
Oh,
them.
I can get messy.
And then come to the day of like them taking their class and they're like, you have just a drawing. Next one is working in 3D. We've got to go beyond, get through those and do advanced.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Thank you guys. Again, you're welcome to stay, but you're welcome to leave as well. All right. Awesome. We will move into Agenda item 5, principal reports. Mr. Shada, you are up first.
Yeah.
All the pressure, just kidding.
Alright, follow
It's just the first one. Hey, you
Uh,
got a picture, we're good.
I threw a bunch on there. We've had a fun winter, as all of you guys have followed that. And, I tried to capture some of it. There's no way to capture all of it. So, just some highlights there. Congratulations to Emily and Brett, who were our first team all conference in the girls basketball team. Macy was the second team. Trent Coder was the highest vote getter in the conference. So that means he voted overall best player, but his you can't vote for your own kids. So the other 8 coaches voted that, which is pretty cool. So the captain was the first team and Oliver was the second. Well, off the Sky Logan was honorable mention. Congratulations to our girls state qualifiers in wrestling. Riley, Kylo, Elise, Allie, Caitlin, Donna, and Addie. And Elise was second at 120 this year. So special shout out to the really cool, just last couple weeks in the Enterprise Club. So thanks to Grant and those guys have covered that really well. So I'm sure you've seen all those things. Boys qualifier, Jake Fleishman, Braxton Saul, Ben Fleishman, Pete Ross. And this one. No, I get them. Yeah, sorry. Okay, and congratulations to those guys and qualified for state. And then we had 2 swimmers, Dave and Eli Hansen. The rest are just super fun pictures of what happened the last couple of weeks. The pictures don't do it justice. You guys were there. And so great to see our kids perform on different stages. Great to see them cheer each other on. Great to, I don't know, take them to get a burger and fries afterwards. That was super fun. Mr. Pinks and I had a good time. It's just fun to see our kids interact. And they, I guess I'll say it publicly, like we were so impressed. Like we took the spirit bus out for food, probably because the guys on the spirit bus were starving. We were like, we need a burger. Anyway, they were so polite and so well behaved that we stopped at a place to get a couple options, and they were just real fun. So, credit to our families and the people that are raising them. They were just great to be with. So that was a fun experience for everybody. Whether you were on a team or you were there cheering the team. So, just a couple highlights. And the Music Man is coming quickly at us. This is massively one for the heart attack. So there's 3 shows as we have done for several years now. So yeah, I think what 4 or 5 years coming on now doing 3 years, 3 shows. So catch one of those shows is it's a fun one. I don't know much about it.
I do, I know a lot about it.
I've done some
research.
It's classic.
It'll take you back.
I feel like they've cast it well from what I've read and the people I've talked to. So, questions on all those things? Belabor the point.
Spring. Okay, Dr.
When is,
Moore.
I'm sorry, when is our first effective week that?
Yeah, they go to Concordia the day of run in the morning at Pro and do all the things and come back for this concert. Yep, with the early second.
Okay. Dr. Moore.
Alright, last time we were here, we had some Valentine's Day parties on the 13th, Valentine's. Lots of fun. National Dental Month is February, and we did February and March a little bit there. Mrs. Wolfhard School Nurse goes around and distributes dental care items that were donated this year from UNMC's Dental College. So good stuff there. There are our SOAR Students of the Month. Hanging out there with all their signs. We did get a little breakfast in last week on Friday. It was a superhero pancake breakfast for the Across America Week. So those lovely cutouts that people were posing in were created by Mrs. Lozon in the library. So she's very talented too. We served 218 students and families on Friday morning. So good stuff there. We did this year, we did an introduction to Across America Week with Spread the Word campaign. The elementary and high school both kicked off the event with some fun activity there. There's a few pictures. It's the week is meant to really highlight inclusivity and inclusive practices within the schools and beyond. And that is what I have in the extra page at the bottom.
Use your imagination.
Yeah, what might happen?
Grab a
I
pencil.
know. I did not put in here because I forgot, honestly, but, we did get our teacher conference, and even not having a day, we had 88% attendance on the elementary side, which the admin team knows I was super nervous. The elementary slot times out for families, and so our teachers did a marvelous job of getting parents in after school the next upcoming week, just to make sure that we touch base or do phone conferences, and we made contact with 88% of our families on the elementary side. So that's all the teachers. Wanted to mention that. That's what the one page is for.
Oh, all right. As a reminder.
Just
This is
a
a
reminder.
surprise.
Just keep talking.
Love it. I want to tell you probably congratulations on the elementary side because all the young kids, they know the song.
Yeah, they do.
And it surprises me every time I ride by. I love it.
And sometimes on a random Friday on the high school when I buzz into both sides of the building.
Oh, love that. I'll do that more often.
Really liked the dive.
As the high schooler said, he had secondhand embarrassment for me on that.
Oh, you didn't have
I accidentally 110, which is the whole building, instead of 115, which is just the elementary. So they got all my announcements and fights on Friday.
Everybody enjoyed it. Gosh, love it. And then Mrs. O'Donnell, who was waiting for the intercom patiently, actually gave the elementary all of the high school announcements as well. Just to
It was time. It was good.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Absolutely love it. Okay, anything else from this? Okay, Mr. Vincent, your turn.
Okay, kind of like with the inclusivity Friday announcement on our end involves our unified team making announcements, so that's something that they got into on Friday. Here's what's going on our end is we have the electives fair. What that means is that here's the course offerings. They do that after Mrs. Toth the class talks to them about what they want to do as far as post-secondary plans, different things that way. So we did course actions, and we have just total numbers of kids that selected just based on numbers. So that's kind of correct. These are the first steps of creating a master student for next year. We hosted blood drive thanks to NHS. They did a phenomenal job with that. Our Arlo Stride team, sorry, the pictures are from last year because I had to get the board report in because we had the one for this year. They went to Devaney for the C2 girls basketball on Friday. They are going, I think, back to Devaney on Wednesday and maybe Friday as well. They're doing skits. So they do a phenomenal job. So
Now, is that on, all that televised on their deal?
and NHS, it's a subscription unless you have Spectrum Channel 98, maybe. So yeah, it's all on their subscription until the finals that are on TV.
Good for them.
Yeah, they do.
So
Mr. Person did say, I'm just gonna give him some accolades there, but Will has trained his kids. He said they sat down all this new equipment in front of them, and he said this drive had a person there, so Mr. Parsons did not have to sit in the monitor. Scribe had somebody there who was overseeing 7 or 8 kids that he took and everything like that, just to help them and stuff like that. And he said before the first half, the Scribe guy came and sat in the box next to Mr. Parsons. So they ran it themselves. So they're very well trained. They've got good equipment to work on here, and Mr. Parsons works really good with them. And
How many of them go down there for that?
7 or 8.
Eight of them.
and I wish I could tell you each one of their roles and responsibilities, but you have a color, a play-by-play, you've got a primary camera, you've got a toggle board or whatever, you've got a couple of.
somebody just on this, doing the cuts
It's like
and
a
videos
sideline.
and like replays and things like that.
And they do all of that, so.
Yeah.
Great. And just as the board considers, always what we do with our finances, that's been something that we've appreciated to support and been able to get kids, their hands on some equipment. And Mr. Parson, he makes some of his own personal equipment sometimes. And then I think this year we need to pay for that stuff. But it's all been part of developing the program. We've done a phenomenal job. Kids have done a phenomenal job. And every year, probably just like any other team, we're like, oh geez, how do we, get this, we're gonna lose this kid on the camera, we're gonna lose this kid behind the mic, we're gonna lose this kid. And we always have kids, they always, yep,
But somebody always steps
they
up.
always do. So we're fortunate that way too. So, and then ultimately wanted to highlight, just we've got a lot going on with FBLA and FFA and skills as far as them prepping for their leadership conferences that then hopefully leads to national conferences and things like that. So I just highlighted one of the things that was out there, the FBLA. It was first place all around at Midland Business Day. We left there with the idea that we were not in first place, and we found out that they didn't quite calculate things right, and they let us know that we got first.
That's reassuring.
If you know Mrs. Stover, you know that she's calculating things, and she had her right. So, and they did a good job of recognizing us after the fact. So we appreciate Midland and them putting that on to give our kids experience, because all these things help when we go to, that final exam of the state leadership conference. So.
Awesome. Anybody have anything for Mr. Houston? Moving on to superintendent's report, item 6. Dr. Lewis.
And to briefly run through a few legislative bills that are in there. Skip over a lot of them. There's a bill, LB 497, that would allow option students to attend a different district other than one that they option into, so they can participate in an activity that the different school offers, which is kind of a strange way to come at it, because our own students can go to attend a different school part-time, like the resident students can't do that. So I don't know that that's going to be any movement, but it's worth mentioning because it's really backwards how some of these things come about. So
like if we don't offer lacrosse and we're an
Yes.
option student.
and they found out that their offers
go
lacrosse,
back
they
somewhere
can
else.
they can opt into here, but go to Blair like one period a day so they can play lacrosse. And it's only one period a day. It's really interesting. Yep, it's interesting. I don't know if that will, that was just really interesting. 550 is an interesting one. 550 would require schools can choose to do this if they would want, but 550 would require schools to give students release time from school to go take religious instruction in a different location. It's not a lot of time, it's an hour a week, but religious instruction can happen during the school day, 1 hour a week. It's already optional. It's available from this week. Requirements that schools, if somebody requested, they didn't have to do that. 572 is an interesting one. It would allow schools to exceed their budget authority, it's just a different credit, to pay student teachers. So paying student teachers, not necessarily, it's becoming more of a like a stipend. There's not that many schools actually in Nebraska that do it, but as far as it's becoming to teachers, I would see more and more going into that. So paying student teachers to come to them, and this would be, it's almost like the like retirement incentives. You can put that in as out to exceed the budget, or getting that back, or the retirement exclusion that we have that is over 728, the one that we write for every year. So it's not really exceeding the budget authority, but it's an exclusion. So you get the money you pay student teachers back into the budget. So if you budget $5,000 to pay student teachers, you get that back, and just mentioning it because it's an interesting concept that a few schools have gone to. LB 714 would be changes to the distribution of motor vehicle taxes. Would take them away from schools. They would be supposed to replace that money to us in one way, shape, or form, but for us, that's between $400,000 and $600,000 a year. So it's several pennies on the levy. If we take that out, we have to put into the budget in another way. I'm not exactly sure where that's going or where it's coming from. 411 would add more money into teacher recruitment and retention. So if you want student loan piece. Sorry. 6.5 is we changed to the retirement system. So what this would do is it builds levers in place. So the plan is fully funded like ours is right now. It's been classified by actuaries as 99% funded, which means it's in really, really great shape and we have enough resources to meet all of our obligations. If your plan is 99 or higher percent funded, when the teacher contribution goes down, and then it's got levers, like if it's 96% funded, if it's 92% funded. And it doesn't just change the teacher contribution, but it changes the state contribution and lowers it to a certain point. And then if you reach like 92, then everything's back to it. So it would lower the teacher contribution, however, it would not reduce the district's burden. So the district contribution remains at 9.88%, and 7.28. So it kind of creates this imbalance, and then it takes away state funding if your plan is in good shape. So I don't know then what happens, like if it's, I don't know, if that's just a.
Are any of these like getting traction, or are they all just?
This one, there's
about?
a hearing on this one this week. And so, in 652, which is the sale of educational lands, some of you have heard of school land, at least school land, buying school land, have a school land. Some districts have quite a bit of school land. There's some senators that think we should just sell all school land future fund, but right now, the revenue from school lands is our state apportionment, so every school gets something from that. For us last year was $228,000. So for this last month, we just had it. It was a nice chunk of change. So again, that's the reason we don't have a lot of it. So if it sells, I mean, the districts that have the land are still going to get tax revenue, or it's going to increase the tax base. But for us, who knows where the apportionments come from. And then the last one that I'll talk about real quick is LB 300, which is the superintendent pay, where it would it would limit superintendent pay to no more than 5 times, however you want to look at it, or it would mean you couldn't pay teachers less than 20% of what your superintendent compensation packages. But there is new information on that today, that we kind of didn't have a lot of it. Oh, because it would also restrict superintendents from earning any money in any other education related field while they're on contract as a superintendent. So if you have a superintendent who teaches an adjunct class in education, they couldn't do that anymore. If you have a superintendent who does superintendent searches for other school districts, which a lot of them do, you couldn't do that anymore if you're being compensated for it.
What number do they use for teacher pay?
They
First
total
year out of college?
compensation, first, it's base,
The base.
it's base
Okay.
pay, but
I was
it's
just wondering.
yeah, it's pay with benefits and things like that. So, but yeah, they don't look at your average teacher pay for your district.
Okay.
And to me, the better measure is the average teacher pay for your district. I mean, if you've got a first year superintendent and a first year teacher, that's apples to apples. But if you've got a superintendent who's been here for 10 years, you're basing it on the base rate for that. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes. It may or may not. It initially was written to be superintendent couldn't make more than, now as a teacher must make at least as much as, so they kind of reversed the language a little bit, but then they had introduced an amendment today that put these other things in superintendents. You can only make other money if you like are a farmer. Like they put these things in the bill in the amendment, like you can't make any other money other than your superintendent contract unless it has nothing to do with education.
If you can be a
Probably-
coach,
You can go be a reader at Walmart. That'd be it.
like a coach.
I mean, it would be above and beyond your contract pay unless you had it. So you can go for it.
Well, it sounds like it wasn't good.
It is. Honestly, this applies to about 3 superintendents in the state.
Yeah.
There's 2 or 3 superintendents that this would apply to. Some of them aren't that far from here, but for the vast majority, 240 of the 249, it doesn't apply. We're not even close to that. Anyway, okay, that's a quick rundown, and there'll be more every week from Zoom. This was Thursday Zoom, and then stuff that was added today. NASB and NERC reports are patched. I added the grading scale in discussion here because we haven't prepared in any way, shape, or form to have that discussion again. But I'm going to give Shannon for a little bit here because she requested that added. So, and then I'll take everyone through the process that we did last time for this.
Yeah, so we talked about it about 4 years ago, and just got a notice, an email that Millard adopted a 10-point cycle or a 10-point scale. So now several schools are doing it. I think that, so like 90%.
Oh.
Like a college.
Yeah, so the last time I brought it up, like I said, 4 years ago, was just something that I was researching, and now that Colton has gone through and has applied and been accepted to like 7 schools, I know more than I did before, and I wasn't coming at it like Christy spoke to it, but Colton applied to all the GPAC schools, and if you look on their websites, it is all done GPA based. They're all scholarships are GPA. So if you go to their website, it'll say like, here's the scale. If your GPA is this, this is the money that you're automatically allowed. And then it just goes from there. So if our students are on a 10-point scale, we're not talking about rigor, teachers don't have to do anything different, but if it's on a 10-point scale, it helps their GPA. And I think it just helps our students be more competitive with regard to college scholarship. That's how colleges function on the 10-point scale. And I want to just talk about it again. Like I said, Bennington's on a 10-point scale. Millard is just adopting a 10-point scale for next school year. I think it's kind of where we're going. I don't know about our conference, but we might be a leader in that versus a follower. And I just think it's good for our students. But like I said, I mean, go to any of the GPAC websites and it tells you right on there what your GPA needs to be to get this particular scholarship. So for that, I would be happy to sit on the ad hoc and do my spiel all over again, because it matters to me.
I think we'll bring this back next month. Just make sure we have everybody here to talk about the ad hoc and bring that back again. And there's the action that we can take right now that is going to students in our school. So if it's all right with you, I'll just bring it back.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Next month, and we'll talk about ad hoc again. And we'll talk about research again.
Yep.
I know that Brennan and I, obviously 3 of us were not here when it was last discussed. And Chase was on that committee with you?
I think it was Chase and I want to say it was Janet. Okay. Yeah.
So it might be good to have Chase's input then too, to see what he thinks, what we did last time, where we should, going forward, what an option is as well. Just so that we have more people that kind of know what we were looking at last time and what we're looking at now.
So you think there's many like Class B schools or Class A?
There's not a lot in our conference. There's anyone in our conference.
Bennington, DC West is on a 10-point scale. Fremont, Omaha.
So awesome.
We'll have to do some,
DC West is
story like that. I will say though, like the comparison, because I've looked at both too, because I'm in the same position Shannon is. The state schools are looking at their ACT and the private schools are looking at the GPA. So
I would say when
or
Austin
they're
did
looking
that-
at them together, right?
Yeah.
Because
well, the state
that's what.
schools that still apply to haven't asked for his GPA, haven't asked for his transcript yet, and they're looking at the ACT for that, and that's what they're doing with Stellar too, but he did get a notice from the GPAC school that he applied to that based on your GPA, this is for it. I was like, well, that's a lot of money, and then there's so much cost.
Yeah.
I mean, Midland is just right there.
Yeah.
And they do.
Yeah.
It's just, we've done every single GPAC except for one, so.
Yeah.
So that's where we're going, so.
Options.
Okay, yeah, I think that we should table it for next month.
Yeah, there's really
No,
no, I mean, we didn't have any action to.
Okay.
All right, enrollment totals, you can go ahead and review those. We're basically up the student come our enrollment last time, so we're at 710 instead of 705. There's some people have moved in since last time we did the report. And, a couple have moved out in other areas, but we're had one student who works, pretty consistent. We ended the year last year with 705, and we began the year this year with 708. So, so we'll see where we land at the end of the year. You know, you always have notices, somebody's coming in, somebody's coming back. Morgan and I just talked about one today, in fact. So, but it's pretty steady.
Can you explain to me, because obviously I
Oh,
know.
it's the first time you look at it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I thought it was the medication, but under the gray scale, you had me for a while, then when you got to 14-3, I got really confused on what date that means. Or what are we saying there?
Okay.
The other ones look like dates, but I didn't understand.
Oh, she's been in and out,
Yeah,
so the
that's-
students that are opting
Yes.
in and out.
So, and this was from a couple of years ago, and I'm sorry, I sometimes when I do the report, just to save that confusion, I report on that once a year because the numbers in and out don't typically change throughout the year because we're set, once we're set, there's 7 options. And a lot of times I just report this on the top, but I figured since it was your first signature, kind of, I know you were in January, but like I really try and confuse you guys as it is when I see it, so.
Yeah.
You're welcome. No, it's down here on the bottom is this year's in and out per grade level. So when I'm saying this is kindergarten, this is this year, we have 7 in and 3 out, so a net of 4. And the net is important because that is what bases your option funding on for the coming year. It's a per student amount for this total number here at the bottom, at 1.4. So that was the October snapshot of how many students net option we have, and so we'll get a payment from the state for those option students, which is about $8,500 a student now when they calculate the $1,500 foundation. They took that out of the option funding. So this over here is just a comparison of previous years. So I'm sorry.
No, the
That
final
was-
in June of 24 was 705.
Yeah, that's how many students we had total.
But the net change was a positive 11 on this
No,
other chart. So
This down here on the bottom, is only option enrollment. This is
Oh.
total enrollment up here.
That's totally.
So this is the kids we had in the classes and where we landed, and the yellow one is where we're at today.
I will just come back.
Okay, yeah.
and not
I'm really
know.
sorry.
It's okay. Yep.
If you wanna come to my office, we can go through.
Well, the
it.
numbers
I'm sorry.
Quite
You're like,
up, but I'm like,
yeah.
that doesn't-
Yeah.
It looked to me like we were making it negative and you had us positive. Okay, it makes sense.
Yep, it kind of makes sense, so it makes sense, more when you look at it.
The other question I have, do we track move outs versus dropouts?
We do, we don't, it's not good for us to have dropouts, and we absolutely track that. Yep, 100%. And we do everything we can to possibly prevent this from dropping out of school. So, absolutely. That's a great question. Just giving a quick rundown, I don't have the model of the stated report on there. I do have it on my desk, and they sent out an updated version today, so I need to go back and look at that. It can look like from the glance that I had, and it's in super tiny print. I was trying to follow the lines and see what had changed, but it appears that we're standing to lose about $80,000 in state aid next year. However, if they pass the bill, that would adjust the foundation aid from $1,500 per student, where it started a couple of years ago, to $1,590 per student. We would make that up in the difference. So it kind of depends on what happens with the legislation. The first models show us losing about $80,000. So you know that. We do have, and they do that when they think you have the tax base to make it up. You know, that's the state aid, the number that adjusts when your valuation's at a certain level and your levy is at a certain level. They say your resources are able to make that up. So, yeah. So we'll have more talks about that in the future when we start.
So they even get a cent on the way.
It'd be under a penny. It was like 0.8 of a cent right now. We're really close to that. We're over 900 million last year. Yeah, it would be less than probably 0.1. Just reporting right now on the days as of today, because we know that sometimes they have to make it the days that we have missed, due to weather so far, and I don't put these in the calendar, so in my head is where these numbers came from. I believe we have missed 4 days of school, and then we had 2 or 3 late starts. Still count the day, but it does decrease our hours of instruction, or instructional units a little bit. And actually the hours that were in session too, and then a full day looks like a day missing on that. We have 2 days built into the calendar, so we're already looking at 2 days that we're going to consider waiving at a later date. I'm not gonna put that on here until I'm out of danger. So it might be June that you see that on the board meeting, because last year it was the last day of school, so who knows? Anyway. Okay, keep watching. 6.7. Board, we need to schedule another board retreat now. So what we're gonna do here is just kind of mention the fact that we missed it due to the blizzard last week. And so, let's regroup and talk about it again in April and see if we can find a time that fits. The community engagement meeting is still tomorrow night, and then this group meeting is still tomorrow before the community engagement meeting. They just kind of come and talk with us some data and everything like that, but we do need to now reschedule the board retreat. So
There's no chance of blizzard tomorrow.
Not till Friday.
not that I'm aware of.
It's supposed to be,
Not that I'm
so we're
aware of.
good.
I'm sure
What
there-
time's the focus group meeting?
That is at 5:30, but we can only have 3 board members there.
Oh, that's right, that's right,
Yeah, we
okay,
can't
because
do
that one I
board-
had missed, I was
Yeah.
afraid I missed that.
No, you're good on that one, so,
Yes.
Cass and Brian and Shannon, yeah, we can't have a forum for that, it needs to be a small.
If you wanna go, I'll let you, Steve.
No,
You can
no,
record,
it's-
you take
Oh
my
my
spot.
Clearly you don't want me.
No,
I didn't get to
no, no, that
I
would be the
defer.
deep dive into the mission. So anyway, in April, we'll try and get that rescheduled. And then, finally, just a reminder of the community engagement meeting on tomorrow at 7 in the blue gym. Be there or be square.
Is that going to be, I remember last year, did the school board members then kind of circulate during that? Is that
We can set at different tables, yeah.
Let's
Yeah,
just
pick the
have
table.
more looking in that format there too. for us.
It's led by, NSC,
Yes,
NASB, so 2
and
meetings.
Frank is their strategic planning consultant. He's going to come up.
That gentleman, right?
Yes.
Therefore,
So he'll kind of lead it, and listen,
Okay.
and it's great. Woo. Okay, moving on to agenda item 7, committee and representative reports.
Yep.
Okay, negotiations committee, we met, I don't know when,
2.5 weeks ago.
2 weeks, I don't know, it's
Yeah.
all blurs together. There's that. We talked about non-certificated staff, had a great conversation. That is a action item later, so we'll kind of move through all of that then. I don't want to have to tell you about it twice because we don't want to hear twice anyway. 7.2, schedule buildings and grounds meeting.
Yeah, we need to schedule. Shifted my connection, so. It went blue behind you.
The only question for building and grounds is, do we have a price? Are they tracks?
Mr. Shada was working on getting some numbers from Midwest Track and Tennis or whatever it was on numbers of the track. We talked about that maybe in December. Have you gotten back? Have you heard back from them yet?
I have not.
Let's see if they can-
I will get you another report, sure.
Can we get something scheduled though?
But we'll talk
I
about,
think
yeah,
that would be
that's what we
helpful
need
for
to do,
everyone.
yeah. There's several things that we need to talk about in buildings and grants and transportation there as well. So buildings and grants meeting members, check the calendars. I feel we should do something before track starts, I don't know. How do you feel about that? Jason, your buildings and grants. And Shannon and Steve.
Or, yeah.
Okay, so if you wanna check calendars.
Well, I mean, way to track meet, can make whatever work.
Which one is which one?
So it's coming right up, so 17th, 18th, 19th. It's after spring break, not the next couple weeks, 'cause I'm not
Trying to do whatever.
Out of town the 18th through 20th, 24th through 28th. And first and third. So you can do it, if you do it on Monday night. I can do it activity Thursday nights.
So let me send it on email tomorrow, okay? Then count the days that you're gone and we'll try and match it up with track meets.
Well, before the 24th, we can
Do 17th. It might be the 24th.
You got 17.
Yeah, I got it.
24th, there's no track. There's no track. It's just
See what is the earliest.
I can 5, whatever you want, I probably go earlier than that.
So sometimes we get done at the schedule around 4.
Yeah. And then see- Oh, on like a Monday?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So should we, we'll say 4 o'clock and be there. Whatever.
Is that 17th?
24th.
24th, very good.
Okay. Let's do 4
Well,
o'clock.
if we do it at 4 on 17th, I can do that.
Oh.
I just
do
can't do it in the evening, but if it's
Okay.
at 4.
Okay.
that's fine.
that, 'cause I just, I'm good with that, the 24th.
Right.
We're saying
Brian's on.
Yeah, you can wait.
4 o'clock
That's
on the
right.
17th.
All right, Jason, James,
She's all
17th, 4 o'clock. That gives me 6 days. Gotcha.
Okay,
Right.
cool.
And we need to do the same with the finance committee, which is the other 3 of you.
And since
Jason's not
Chase is-
here,
Yeah, but Chase being out of town,
Yeah.
as soon as he gets back,
yeah,
we can,
yeah, so I'll get that, yeah, and I'm going to get, classified, increases built into the budget, and I'll look with, the team at the building level budgets. Those are the things that we'll talk
I'm out of town the 20th and 21st. but that- everything else will work.
about. And I don't know when, Jason's back next year, so. All right, I will email out about that.
perfect. All right, there is no unfinished business. Item 9.1 is review of board policies.
We've got 4150 through 4270. Several of these are just a paragraph or 2. And then you have the evaluation form that is 64 pages long. Lots of stuff in the evaluation form. Let's see there of stuff. So, and I think it's 4150 A and B. So 50 and then 50A and then 50B. So there's 3 different policies that go with that. But, the principals know that like the back of their hands.
So is that something that you like
Finance?
sit and
Yeah.
go through every item
Yeah,
with
I
the
find
certificate itself?
It's got the schedule in it of who's on for the summative review, what year they're in that, how we do probationaries, how we do tenure, so all of that stuff is in there. Yeah, so you can see actually what the amount of time that needs to go into the evaluation of our teachers. So that's the amount. The rest of them, there's some standards of performance in there that are established by the state for your certified and your non-certified staff. Those are in our handbooks. There's just some procedures and things like that. So, and then the last one on there is kind of strange, it's 4270, that's staff payments during closure, and that was adopted during COVID. When we were told you have to shut down, and if there's a way that you can pay your people, but they have to return for X amount of time in order to retain their employment status if they want to do it. It was closed times. Probably happened once in the history of the school.
Are there any like items or anything that you saw, Dr. Lewis, as you went through those that need to be updated? Or I guess kind of the other question would maybe be more, which I don't know if the people actually doing the evaluations saw these before. But is there anything in those evaluations that you guys feel needs to change? I mean, you're the ones doing the evaluation.
It goes with our instructional model. Policy.
Yeah.
So.
There's nothing onerous or sticks out.
You're like,
We
why
have
do
a
we do
committee that kind of want to make sure that what we utilize is actually in line with what our policy is. probably something future on that committee as far as.
Okay, do we just look at these today?
Yeah,
but we
we're just
don't-
reviewing
Yeah,
them,
we're just
and then
reviewing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if there's no other questions about any.
Perfect.
You never needed the one thing I saw that last 4270, the one thing I had a question, there's no time ever mentioned. It's just kind of nebulous.
Yeah, well,
It was
it's-
intentional, I
A lot of,
assume.
yeah.
so they gave us this policy to adopt, when we basically had to put our classified staff out of work for 2.5, 3 months at the end of the 2019-2020 school year. And so, no, I mean, it leaves it open-ended, so you do it again if you needed it, and it would depend on the amount of time that, in that case, it was the state told us you can't have school, until, or first it was for 2 weeks, and then it was maybe in May, and then it became, something you're not even sure, so.
Okay, item 2.1, discuss, consider, and take necessary action to approve the wage increase on non-certificated staff for the 2025-2026 school year. So non-certificated staff would be kitchen staff, bus drivers, cleaning staff, and parents.
Secretaries.
Oh, and our secretaries, which are our contract items, they're not necessarily.
Yeah, well, it's the secretaries, are still hourly, and then you've got the non-certificated contracted that are 12 months, not hourly, because they're, exempt status. So they're all lumped into this.
There's several different groups. There were a lot. So we went, over is the amount.
I dropped it in session, you turn around, I've popped it up. behind you.
Oh, okay, I'm like, I don't see that.
Yeah, so it's in discussion, so, everybody's wage we're at the point where minimum wage has to go from $13.50 to $15, by January 1st. And so, we just figured at $15 an hour, and we decided that this was the right thing to do, would be to adjust everybody that $1.50. Because there were some employees who are currently just making that base of $13.50 right now, so they're gonna have to get $1.50. So if you've got 5 or 6 new employees or new hires that are making $13.50 that are suddenly gonna go up to 15, it's only fair that everybody knows it's the same type of an increase. And the budget can handle it this year, so this is kind of the year to bite the bullet and give everybody that increase. So all of the non-certificated would be looking at that $1.50 per hour increase. Those outside of that hourly or that rate, like the subs and bus drivers are a little bit different too, but sub pay will be increasing to $170 a day.
So we did want to increase our sub pay because we were seeing that other districts were subs are hard to find, and other districts are raising their pay, so we want to make sure that we're staying competitive with that too. So we raised that to 170 per day.
The long term is where that change came in, because a couple of years ago, we did go up quite a bit on the long term, to 200, but it's becoming a regular thing to see schools just doing 186 days, so it's basically the day of the base rate of the contract. So
And it's a lot easier to calculate as well. So.
Then it changes on the base changes, and you don't have to put in a new rate every time the board adjusts to a new rate.
We felt like that would kind of take away from having to come back to this every year, because it's gonna adjust when we adjust the base.
Yeah.
So that'll be helpful too. It's a long-term solution. It's long-term adjustment.
Yeah.
Next thing, we added longevity to 12-month contracts for non-certificated staff members.
Because the teaching staff, the certificated already get longevity, and every other class of non-certificated staff receive so a longevity of some type, just for a reward for years of service, and it applies to the 3 people who were the only ones that were actually.
Is that not, you're saying longevity meaning
like add 5 years,
5
you
years, you get
receive
a bump of
this, and
X,
add
10.
yeah, 10 years, you receive this, so everybody else already had that built in from previous years. So, and the bus drivers, their rate increase for activities was still pretty high at the top of the array, so their route pay will go up. And then again, bus drivers who have been with us for a certain period of time are also doing longevity. So the base rate for activities is 24, but they're all going to be at a point where they're making more than that based on their longevity driving for the school district. So the routes will go from 54 to 55.50, and then their activity rate will stay the same right now, and then the total budget increase for all of these changes is just shy of $100,000.
Do we need to say the amounts, or can we just make a motion?
I think you just make a motion to present it following.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to approve the wage increases for non-affiliated staff for 2025, 2026 year.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none, let's vote.
Steve Suckers,
Yes.
Shannon Moore, yes. Lisa Knopf,
I think I have to abstain.
Cassie Blessing,
Yes.
Brett Martin.
Yes.
I'm to discuss and consider, and take necessary action to enter into contract with ASU 2 for a 5-year period for special education instruction services, beginning the 2025-2026 year. And this is with Ben Dobson.
Okay, so, it was approved by the board to offer, or to add an additional sped position based on the numbers that Mrs. Sharp, did in analysis, number of caseloads. So, where we really saw that need is that middle school special education. We had 0 applicants in Ben Dobson for that special education. However, he's in a program with a service unit where, he's on an alternative pathway. I mean, he started the program with them, and contractually he owes them 5 years from the start of that program. Otherwise, he has to, like, he owes them some things back. It was grant funded, but they're going to ask for some money back from him. So my conversations with Ted Turk, who is the director of the service unit over there, and with Ben and Mrs. Sharp talking with Ben. He really wants to teach here. He's the only person that we had apply for the job. He's got ties here, and the service unit recognizes that. So we're contracting with him for his costs that because he's currently employed at the independent school. So he's been in that school setting for them for some time. So anyway, they have a set cost for employing him, and they'll allow us to pay that, and he owes them 5 years for that alternative certificate pathway. I built in some things to the contractor, asked for some things, which they added graciously, was that at the end of that 5-year period, he can come and work for us without penalty once in a while and getting hired because we bought him from us, and that's a no-no with some positions, but they're going to allow us to do that, and we will cooperate in every way to make sure that everything that he needs to do for that alternative certificate while he's teaching for us is taken care of. But manage the paperwork side of it, so we don't have to do that. So those things are built in. It's exciting for us. It's going to be a great fit for us. So the cost of this contract, the first year is $80,200. They would like that to go up 4% every year because that's typically what their insurance and their salaries go up every year. And for us, that's it's more than a single teacher on the base rate, but it's not nearly as much as a teacher with 10 years of experience taking family insurance. So the cost, we try to look at it as about a wash for us, what it would be to have tried to find somebody other than them.
So it will be covering his insurance and everything.
Yes,
So he's not going to be.
we're paying them for all of his costs.
Okay. Okay. So it's not like adding another person.
Yeah.
So
They're not going to send us a separate bill for anything, and we're not going to have. And, they're taking care of his retirement. They're taking care of his insurance. They're taking care
of all the other benefits. Leave with that. So,
And I assume that the bottom paragraph, the provider shall operate under supervision and direction of administrative policies and this to us, meaning that gives us an out if there's any disciplinary or other reasons.
yeah, so he's bound to like their handbook and their.
Okay, so that's very involved. What do we have powers to break this contract?
30 days written notice with just cause. So, yeah, that is in there. Yeah. I think that is in there. I thought I read that one.
Wait, no, that's the receipt, that's the payment.
Oh, yeah. Nope, that was in there. Equal price entry to make changes to the agreement, including dissolution. Said changes need to be made in writing. March 15th, which is the time when contracts are typically due back into their employers. So it's basically, if there was an issue and for some reason then you didn't want to continue working for us, or we didn't want, for some reason, it would be basically the same time frame that we're on with any teacher who has a contract issued for them.
You don't anticipate a problem. I just, when I saw the 5-year
Thank you for pointing
contract.
that out. Yeah, it is a long contract.
I'm going to go, you gotta have a way to get out of this.
Yep, and the reason that it's a 5 years is because that's the amount of time that he owes them for the program that they're funding.
Okay. Can I get a motion? I will make a motion that we enter into contract with ASU2 for a 5-year period for special education instruction services with Ben Dawson beginning the 2025-2026 school year.
Second.
Thank you, Jason. Moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, let's vote.
Sharon Newman. Jason Martin.
Yes.
Cassie Grossman.
Yes.
Brian Locker.
Yes.
Steve Simmons.
Yes.
And for the purposes of this contract, that's why you didn't see him in hires up in the top, because, you consider him was hired, but it's this contract thing, so that's why he wasn't listed in the consent agenda with the other categories. So, thank you.
Okay. Item 9.4, discuss, consider, and take necessary action to approve curriculum purchase for the fine arts, which include instrumental and vocal music on curriculum adoption cycle. So the first one is something music, $13,370, and then the music first is $22,037.65. We can see the music obviously in those two items, what's all detailed in there. Obviously, these are way less than what other things are, which we have talked about. Because we set aside, remind me if I like 120,000. Okay, so for curriculum adoption, obviously, music is one of the things that we are not using that full amount, but it is also one of the things that we purchase more often. It's not just every 7 years. So it's kind of one of those things that's kind of more frequent.
Just to be clear, like this year's adoption is not just music, it's music and art. So this is the music curriculum they wanted, but it's also fine arts and it's also Spanish foreign language. So
are there any Spanish and foreign language items that we need to approve on here then?
no, there's not on here, but I'm just saying that $120,000 is not just.
Yeah, it's not just music.
So the 120 is the whole
That's the
breadth of the
whole, the
program.
budget for curriculum
over a
adoption.
7-year period. This is just one piece of that 7 year.
Every year we budget for curriculum adoption because every year you're adopting. That amount has been, it was like 100,000 years, and now it's 120,000. So that's built into the budget for whoever is adopting curriculum that year. And most of the time it ends up being a 7-year subscription, like
They
so
mentioned
you're good for 7 years.
they were on the 4th year of their 7-year plan. This is what we're doing here.
And this is a 7-year plan. as
Yes.
well.
Want to make sure.
These are 7-year proposals.
Does the curriculum committee have any to add to this or anything? No? Okay, would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve curriculum purchase for fine arts on curriculum adoption cycle with our music 77, music first for 22/037/65.
Second.
And second, thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's vote.
Jason,
Yes.
Cassie Wilson,
Yes.
Brett Walker,
Yes.
Steve Summers,
Yes.
Sharon Moore.
Thank you. Agenda item 5.9.5, discuss, consider, and take necessary action to approve multi-year contract with Agile Sports, also referred to as Huddle, for $9,200 per year for a 3-year contract for a total of $27,600. Dr. Lewis, fill us in.
Yeah, so this contract, we actually made the first payment on it already, and, when I went to look at the bill to see what the heck Agile was, because I didn't recognize it as Huddle, I saw that it was a 3-year, it was a multi-year contract, it was not a 1-year contract, as it has always been in the past, and so we made that first payment out of activity fund, as we normally did, but we need, approval for anything over $10,000, and I didn't realize it was a multi-year contract. So, since they sent us that dollar amount of $27,600, we need for approval to continue with that contract.
So
Did
this
they
is,
just surprise with a free contract or?
I did not see the contract when it came through, and it's always been a 1-year contract, and the yearly amount, the bill that they actually sent, was the $9,200 dollar amount. So when it came through, and it didn't surprise me that Huddle cost that much. I just didn't realize that this year they had contracted for a 3-year.
so Huddle the price did not increase from this year, from
Slightly.
last year?
Slightly. It was about
If it is a-
$8,900.
Not much. It is
Yeah.
still, so part of it is that it still fell within, underneath that 10,000 for approval. But because it is a 3-year contract, that is why it's being brought to us.
Yeah, that's why,
So-
because the total amount of the contract is over.
And this is where they do all our Huddle stuff, and we can put up on tape for the players, they can.
Yeah.
They have access to
It
all
looks
that.
stats, there's the cameras in the gym that if you start your can do it, they'll broadcast that for you.
So we should just expect 3-year contracts from now on? That's why they're just doing it
If
differently.
they're coming through like this and every year, yeah, they'll come across my desk and things. But it'll be 4 years, well, it'll be 2 years before we send the contract. So,
We'll know to watch for it.
Yeah.
And that is one of those items, this is one of those items that we've been talking about because it is a, subscription that we have.
your regular.
That we may move that from the athletic to the general budget because we can.
So we pay our trainer and we pay some other big equipment. We pay for like black squirrel timing, and all of those are built into the athletics piece of the general fund budget. As regular as this has become, and maybe a couple of other big expenses, and especially since those are like some of those are the reason why we've had trouble staying flush in the activities, like in the athletics and activities. It makes sense to push those back to the general fund and make that athletic be what it was originally for, which was paying your officials and paying for the expenses of your athletic programs.
So we're actually looking with areas to draw right now, getting the lock in with you. Probably say.
Yeah.
To be honest, we're like in a verbal lock-in around COVID for like the last 4 years. It just wasn't written, it was agreed to do that statewide. I don't know if that's because we're like the home state or what, so this is the first large increase in 4 years from like COVID. So they're doing pretty well.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve both of your contract with Agile Sports, otherwise known as Huddle, for $200 a year for 3 years at $27,600.
I will second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's go.
Cassie Wilson,
Yes.
Brian Walker,
Yes.
Steve Summers,
Yes.
Sharon Moore.
Yes.
All right, we will adjourn at 8:36 p.m.
We're done.
It's my second name. There's no coming back.
I do now.